Texas A&M starts spring practice next week, and while most of the players are probably at South Padre Island or Destin or Panama City or wherever they are, I want to take a few minutes to talk about quarterback Conner Weigman and kind of preview what do we want to see from Conner Weigman during this spring practices. I'm sure he's still training and working out this week, even if he's enjoying himself or having a vacation. I would imagine he's still getting ready. The guys I train that are D1 quarterbacks right now, they've been in this week getting after it, getting ready. So there's a few things I want to see from Weigman, but before we talk about what we want to see him do in the spring, before we talk about what we want to see him, the steps we want to see him take, how we want to see him mesh with Colin Klein's offense, let's kind of just recap his career real quick. Highly, highly touted guy. A lot of guys are a lot smarter than me when it comes to football, and I'm not very smart, so maybe that's not saying much, but a lot of guys think he could be the best quarterback in the SEC or one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. They just really, really believe in his talent, and coming from a competitive Texas high school football environment, I can definitely see why. But 2022, start a few games. My biggest takeaway was how he took care of the ball in 2022. I think he had like 0 interceptions and like eight touchdowns. And then he got a lot of good experience. So the 2022 season, I almost view as like getting his feet wet. Was it 4 games, something like that? But he had a big win. But he was getting his feet wet in 2022. 2023, I thought he started off with the improvements that he needed to make. In 2022, his yards per attempt were 6.8. Wasn't pushing the ball downfield. Was just kind of being conservative, which is fine as a young quarterback. But then he was able to have his yards per attempt north of 8 point something. Now it was only 3.5 games because he got hurt, unfortunately, and some of those games were against lower tier opponents, right? New Mexico, maybe someone else. But he still had his moments against Miami, who was the best team that he played, and he still pushed the ball downfield. Even though it wasn't great competition, if you're an A&M fan, sometimes the Aggies play down to their level. And so when Weigman was at quarterback, that wasn't necessarily the case last year. And those 3.5 games, 9 completions were thrown over 20 yards or more in the air. So while I think it's fair to say the jury's still out if he's going to be as good as people think, he could definitely have a 2024 that everyone thinks he's capable of it. And if he does, like, A&M's going to hit that win total easy, and they could really surprise some people. Like, I'm really high on Weigman, high on Colin Klein, at least the talent, the potential. It's just, can he hit that potential? And if he can, then 2024 is going to be really, really fun for the Aggies, and it starts with spring practice, right? I know this offseason they've been working out, they've been training, they've been throwing. What coaches will do, they only have a certain amount of hours they can spend with you in the offseason. I can't remember if they may not even be able to be around you with the ball until spring practice. I can't remember. I think that was the case when I was in college. But what they would do is they give you a script. They say, hey, we want you to work on 2-minute drill. We want you to work on routes. Whenever I was playing routes under center, we want you to work on the routes in shotgun. And they would go in the press box and watch and give us a script, and we would go through it. And they still do that to this day. Get the kids and guys will tell me, like, hey, yeah, we work on this on Saturdays, this on Tuesdays, whatever. We go through the route tree with our receivers, and the coaches are watching the press box. So even though the spring practice kind of starts implementing the offense with like pads and helmets, they've been going through at least some of the offense right now, but now you're taking that next step. Now you're really kind of you're starting to dive in off the diving board, essentially, and for the 2024 season. Like, you really are starting to prepare. So what do we want to see from Weigman? Well, I think number one, you want to see him just learn the offense. You want to see him mesh well with the offense, and you would like to see some explosive plays, of course. Like, I don't think it's a big deal if they're somewhat kind of like chill in the spring, but they want to learn the offense too. So I think you want to see some explosive plays in the spring. I think you want to see what the offense is capable of doing. Now, I don't think they showcase a lot in the spring game if it's on televised. Like, that's probably one of the least important things. If he has a really good spring practice and is kind of whatever in the spring game, that's great, right? Like, you'd rather that happen than he go kill it in the spring game than kind of just struggle during the season. So meshing with Colin Klein's offense, I think, is the number one thing that we want to see, or A&M fans want to see from Weigman. You want to see him continue to take that step forward, right? So you want to take what defense gives you, and you want to push the ball downfield. That's what Weigman showed these past few years, was he was able to take what the defense gave him, and that's what Colin Klein asked for his quarterbacks to do. Now, something that his quarterbacks haven't done in the past is push the ball downfield and spread the field. His quarterbacks, the yards per attempt were 7.4 in 2023, but they took what the defense gave them. Essentially, they kept drives alive, and both quarterbacks could run. So if Weigman can take what the defense gives you, if he's able to use his legs, he's a surprisingly better athlete than probably most people think. then he can push the ball downfield. I think he can maximize Colin Klein's offense. So I think Colin Klein can maximize Weigman, and Weigman can maximize Colin Klein's offense together, right? So that's number one. Mesh with the offense, learn the offense, and then start showing what can potentially happen. I think as fans, you want to see what can potentially happen. Push the ball downfield. Be more explosive with the help of Klein's offense, and for Klein, with the help of a quarterback like Conner Weigman. I think they can both help each other take the next step. That's number one. Number two, he was a starting quarterback last year, but there was still that competition going on, right? And I haven't heard a coach talk about if there's a competition right now. I know some A&M fans think there is, so maybe there is. I'm sure Coach Elko is going to come up and talk about the competition. But even this is another year of experience for Weigman. So this is like his first full year coming back as the starting quarterback, if that makes sense. So he has more experience, and now he has the experience of being the starting quarterback. So yeah, maybe there's a competition going on. Maybe I'm like completely wrong, and it's a lot closer than I'm anticipating. But I think this is kind of Conner's team. This is the first time it's really Conner's team. And so you want to see how he leads the team, not just the offense, not just the receivers, the linemen, the running backs, but the defense too. You want the defense to believe in you whenever it's 4th and 3 and you're down by 4 and there's 2 minutes left in the game and you're driving the ball. Like, you want the defense on the sideline to believe in you. You want it to be a full team effort. So I think number 2 is just a leadership standpoint. It's just developing in that category. It's the experience, that this is your team. Even if there's a competition, like, take this as your team. Like, this is your team, develop it and kind of help lead it where you want to go. So those are my kind of biggest takeaways, I think, for Weigman and what you want to see in spring ball. Besides health. Health is obviously number 1 for anyone. But you want to see him take over the offense, excel in the offense, and show us, or just give us a preview what the offense could potentially show. And then you want to see his leadership ability. You want to see him really take over the team here. And I think that can really just help lead to the summer workouts. That can help lead to fall camp. Like, even though spring's not the end-all, be-all, you want to have positivity from the spring to help build in the summer and help build in fall camp. Because once fall camp hits, you got the SEC schedule. Now, while the schedule is not as tough as maybe Arkansas's or Florida's or anyone's like that, it's still fairly tough. You got Notre Dame to open the season, and then you got a LSU, Texas, Mizzou. Like, most schedules, if that was like most team schedules, they'd be like, damn, that's a tough schedule. But when it comes to the SEC, it's like, oh, okay, it's tough, but it's doable. But those are your 4 biggest games. Notre Dame to open the season, LSU, Texas, and Mizzou, I think, are kind of your 4 biggest games. But it all starts now with spring, then leads to summer, and leads to fall. What you want to do right now to prepare you for those games. So Aggies, or just any fan in general, what are your thoughts? Let me know your comments. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, on what you want to see from Conner Weigman during spring practice. Again, this is, it hasn't started yet. We'll be keeping up with it, and every few practices give an update. But let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you want to see? Is there a competition? Am I just completely wrong? There's not going to be a competition. Maybe I'm just really wrong in assuming that, but people that are a lot smarter than me really think highly of Conner. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Again, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing, like the video, share, all that stuff. It really does help. We're just a big quarterback hub. We talk all things quarterbacks. So thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe. We'll see you next time.